Hey, this is your Made Free Life podcast with your host, Shawn, where we have weekly conversations about faith, freedom, and adventure. All right, we're back. Another episode of the Made Free Life podcast, and I have a special guest today, my beautiful girlfriend, Holly. Say hey, Holly.
Hi.
Holly and I are actually in New Smyrna Beach right now doing a little mini stay that we were blessed with. And we thought it would be a good time to come on. It's actually my first what is that called?
Co-host?
No, with a female. What is that? Co-ed. It's my first co-ed podcast, and I thought it wouldn't be a better one than having you on. And so we decided that we were going to do that while we're on our little little stay. And so we're going to talk about some things that I think can help everyone in this season that we're in, and that is relationships. They all are a part of our lives, some good, some bad, some healthy, some toxic, but how do we do them? What are some of the things that we can do better? And then like last week, I talked about how this season, the Christmas holidays, we hear, it's the most wonderful time of the year. But I said for many, like me, having lost a son, many others out there who are grieving, it's not so wonderful right now, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of holidays are hard for people because when they lost a loved one or going through something traumatic or relationship ended, all those things. Yeah, it can be very hard for them.
Yeah, and so I talked to a young lady this week that shared with me about grieving the loss of someone, but this is powerful, while they're still alive.
Yeah.
And it just hit me really hard because there are many that are doing that, right. That are actually, broken up, or that divorce is impending, and they're grieving as if that person is dead, but they're really alive, and they're seeing them different places and stuff. And, I never looked at it through that perspective. It's funny how someone can say something and it just provoke.
Yeah, I heard that years ago, and it's so true, and it's so deep, not taking away from someone who has passed and they're not around, because it's still just as painful, but, you're reminded of it when they are still alive,
Yes.
And especially when you're in a small town, you run into people.
It's like the country yourself.
Unfortunately, yes.
Stay on your side and go to your place.
Right, exactly.
Your friends.
And so that's extremely painful. It's a constant reminder.
Yeah, I agree, because, when somebody's passed and gone, you still have the memories, obviously, like with Shane, pictures, sounds, smells sometimes provoke, a thought, or a memory, or a time, or a space and place and time that, we were together, or something reminds me of him. But yeah, it would be almost, as painful to bump into somebody in the mall while you're Christmas shopping, that you're going through this grieving process of not having them anymore. Because it's the same, when that person's cut out of your life or whatever.
And that can be friends too.
It can.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm totally glad you brought that up. So there are many right now this holiday season. I have some of that in my own life, where the family unit doesn't look the same structure for some reasons, and it doesn't warrant going into. But there are some family members and I that are separated right now in relationship, and it hits different, because this will be the first Christmas where we're not calling, checking on each other. Like you said, friends. I mean, I told somebody this earlier today. I was talking to somebody, and I said, there's nothing that feels the worst than rejection from people you love the most. And that can be a family member, that can be a friend, because many of us, our friends are our family.
Right.
We have, blood with people that we don't even. I shared with you last night, I have 12 brothers and sisters from my biological dad. I don't even know them. I could be shopping in New Smyrna, bumper to bumper, shoulder to shoulder, and I wouldn't know who they are. And so if they were to do something to me, I wouldn't probably penetrate, it wouldn't hurt me. I don't know them. I'm not emotionally engaged or invested into that relationship. But if somebody like you, who I am emotionally and engaged in, it would hit different. It hurt. It would affect me differently. So what are some things in this season, Holly, that like you're doing to try, I guess, number one, to emotionally manage some of those losses and maybe trying to reunite some of those healthy relationships, things that are God ordained, or and maybe there's just time, maybe scheduling, maybe just busyness of life has put some distance, but not that they're all bad, but just some that are maybe kind of strayed, so to speak. Do you have any of those in your life right now that are?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a busy year with everything that I've had going on, so I definitely have not had the time for my friends,
And to tell a little bit about what's going on with you. You're getting ready to go into nursing school. To give you a little bit about Holly, friend.
I've been a dual hygienist for 23 years. I've been wanting to go back to nursing school for years, and the timing felt right now at this place in my life. And I'm blessed to be able to do so. So I've had to take some college courses to renew those courses that I did so long ago. So I've been doing that, and I work 2 jobs and been trying to balance family and relationships.
Tough.
It's been very difficult. I feel like I've just kept my head above water all year. But I've been so blessed by my family.
And by me.
And by you, of course. My daughters have stepped up tremendously to take care of things
yes,
and help me. And so I'm so thankful for you all. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely, unfortunately, I've had to prioritize the main things in my life. So friends, I feel like I've somewhat neglected, but so, now that things are slowing down a little bit in this little interval, I've reached out more, hoping to spend more time, with them. And I always check in when I can, but that's a life cycle. You can't, everybody's going to get busy. So there are going to be times when you can't be as present, but, and as far as healing, past rejections and breakups and, divorce and things like that, that just takes time, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
But the healing process is very crucial, and, leaning on God for that
Sure.
is definitely, fundamental thing to do. And boundaries are very important.
Mm-hmm.
And prioritizing.
Well, I like to add to that something you said. I do believe time is involved, but I think one of the deceptive things in our day is time heals all things. Right. Well, time don't by itself.
No, it does not.
And I think what you're saying essentially is we need to do the work.
Yeah.
And so that work is inner healing.
Yeah.
Emotional stability. It's soul care. I had a man tell me the other day, he said, there's a man of God that I really admire that's in my life, kind of a father figure. And he said, Shawn, we always got to be maintenance men. Yeah. And I love that because we need to maintenance. And, some of this right here that we're doing is getting away from the hustle and bustle. Right? It's not the best weather or we'd be out and about, but it's just we slept in a little later for us, that 7 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been getting up at 5:30 deer hunting, and you get up relatively around the same because I wake you up.
Right.
And then, it's just a time that I think that, we have to be acutely aware of the condition of our souls.
Absolutely.
Because we're called to grow and heal. Mm-hmm. It's part of this journey. And the saddest thing that I see, and it's been so much in my own life, is that we get stagnant and stuck in a trauma event, place and time, and we seem to not move forward in a healthy direction because we don't, excavate the deeper things that's going on, find the rooted issues, the things that, were a part of that traumatic event and process that in a healthy way. And I think that if we're not careful, we carry that baggage. Mm-hmm. And one of the things for our listeners, like we both have come out of 2 divorces. We've both, been very much wounded and hurt, and caused hurt to others. Not that we're victims. We've been on the other end of that. We know what that feels like to hurt somebody. We know what it's like to be hurt. And so we are both, I like to call myself a growth addict, you know, because I'm addicted to growth. You know, I've had a lot of addictions in my life, but one of the things that is one of the healthiest ones I have is growing. I want to grow. I want to learn and grow from my experiences. I want to be the healthiest Shawn, that I can be the best for me, best for you, and be the best for my children, my friends, my employees, everyone around me. Because when I'm at my best and my healthiest, then I'm at my best with everybody.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's really what this life is about, is leaving a legacy. But we don't have to have our names on stages and billboards, and that's cool if that's the road that God's got you on. But I believe that he's given each of us a sphere of influence. You have one, I have one, we have one that's similar, and we're to steward that. Yes. And the best way that we can steward that is that we become the healthiest and the wholest that we can be, and that's doing the work. And to be honest, that shit's hard. Yeah. It's really hard, because nobody wants to deal with the traumatic, painful experiences of the past. We would rather just sweep them under the rug, put them in a closet, shut the door, kind of like the kids did when you tell them to clean the room when they were little. They go, "Yeah, I'm done, Dad." And you go in there and open the door, and an avalanche of crap falls out. Go ahead.
Which actually happens.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when we do push all of the pain and trauma, you know, deep within us, it's going to surface at some point or another. Like you said, you will carry that baggage from relationship to relationship. Whether, again, that's friends, you know.
Would you be hurt by friends, or you're kind of skittish?
So, you know, for
Shawn.
me, and everybody's feeling and journey to that inner growth and processing all of that looks different for everybody.
Totally.
You know, and I think also you come to that place where you realize that you can't do it on your own. You know, it does take
the help of God.
Yeah, the help of God for sure. And the wisdom that comes, you know, I did therapy for a while, and really.
That's super good. Speak about that. Did that help you tremendously in the process?
It did, you know, because I carried a lot of things, you know, shame, guilt, you know, let my children down, or this or that, you know, the different things. And, you know, my therapist definitely helped me deal with those things and those aspects. And, you know, really talked about the hard stuff, and, you know, I was able, you know, to start to be set free from all of that.
Free from you too.
Yeah.
Because we hold a lot of that in, and we become the wardens of our own prison.
Right.
All the while we have the keys to let ourselves out. And it's sad, because we think we're free.
Right.
And really, we're just as bound as the drug addict or the alcoholic that wants another drink or wants to use again, you know, because we are unwilling to even come to this place that we are hurt. Like most people, and I say this all the time, the wound that goes unacknowledged is the wound that never heals.
Yeah.
The one that we sweep under the carpet, or we say that didn't hurt, you know, I correct people a lot, and it's a habit in me, and it's something that I try to be a little softer at. But I'll have conversations with people, and they'll tell me something so horrific, like they were sexually abused, or somebody physically abused them, or somebody abandoned them, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, you know, I'm so oh no, it's not a big deal." And it's like, and I always do this. I go, "No, it's a huge deal. Yeah. Don't say that." You know, that I start getting into that therapist mode. Like, no, that's huge. And you know, of course, sometimes it's just over a brief conversation. I don't have time to divulge into everything that I've learned on this journey. But it's very sad, because it's what millions of people are doing every day. They're pretending as if they're better. And I think you have to feel it. I think you have to let that, in fact, in some of the seasons in my life, I have to even revisit that, because there's more there. And I don't feel like, you know, it's like, I know you've experienced this. You're around somebody, you're in a relationship, whether it's a friend, but you and I've experienced this a bunch with us. And you say something, and you go, "Oh," or I respond back to you in a way that I don't like the way I just responded. And it's like immediately I'm aware of that's not healthy. Why did I just, maybe I snap, maybe I say it defensive, and I catch myself and I go, oh, I don't like that. Where does that, and then that's the journey of like, where does that come from? There's a root to that some reason I respond in that way that's unhealthy because of something, some event, time, or tragedy that's happened in my life that's caused me to put walls up or to protect or guard myself in a way that seems safe.
Right.
And I think essentially that's what a lot of us are doing.
So you've lived a pretty colorful life.
Yeah.
So, and you've done your own soul care, and the retreat was a big one. Do you want to touch on any of?
Well, the retreats are huge, yeah. So
that helped you heal and.
So I am on it. I love that you said that because I do march to the beat of my own drum, and I have had lots of different methods. I am incredibly blessed. If we were to say today, Shawn, are you wealthy? I'm like Bob Marley. I would say, what does that mean? And if you said wealth as in treasures and riches, I would say no. But if you were to say relationships, I would say I'm absolutely stinking rich with people. And so I could just get emotional thinking about that. I have the best people in my camp. If I was a fighter, and I am, I got the best people in my camp in the organization that prepare me for the fight, the good fight of faith. So I have great people that I train with emotionally and mentally.
That's good.
But I have also done things like I've been on retreats. My friend Curtis Hoffman, who does one called Selah, and I was able to attend that. I wanted to take you back. In fact, we will make it back out to Seattle. I do believe in retreats. In fact, I'm thinking about another one real soon. I share a little bit about the one that he went to that he shared with me this past week. I believe retreats are so special because they're times and spaces where we remove ourselves, again, kind of like a little mini stay, from our environment, the hustle and bustle. There's no electronics. The phones get taken. We are isolated, so to speak, from what we know. And it's very intentional, the therapeutic, I guess, plan, and everything is thought out for your life for those next few days, whatever that is. If it's a weekend, if it's a 7-day, whatever. And in those moments and spaces and times, it's very intentional on the things that they are doing to bring out healing in the areas of your life that, I've been stagnant or stuck or maybe just in denial. And so I think you walk away, especially if you go to one where you're like literally get on an airplane, and like I did, I went all the way to Washington. I think it's just huge, the implications it can have long term on you, because it's a consecrated time and a memorial that you can look back on and go, wow, I remember that. And then a picture pops up on my Google Photos, and I'm like, dude, that was so beautiful. And then I kind of go back there.
Correct.
Like we did last night with an 80s songs. I was serenading you with an 80s song. So I can go back to that space and time and be like, you know what? I remember when God did a deep work in my heart. And I remember when I gave that thing over to God, and I've been holding on to that, that this thing that I've been pretending doesn't affect me or hurt. And, and it's made me bleed, because when we're wounded, and that wound I talk about that we don't ever let heal because we don't acknowledge it, then what we essentially do is we bleed on others. Right. And we've all been a part of that, where, you're bleeding on everything and everybody. And so I think, I just think life is better when we begin to better together. Jack Johnson got that right. But also better at just picking up the pieces. There's nothing that we can do about the past, but there's a whole lot that we can do about the right now moment. And being intentional, that word, I'm huge on that. It's my word too, because I think that it should be everybody's word, because time is of the essence. It is a vapor. Yeah. It's one thing Shane taught me in 23 years is that tomorrow's not promised. My baby went like that. I was talking to him one week, the next, and it's gone. And so it has made me be very intentional about my time, about what I give my energy to, what I don't, about making sure that I finish well. I want to finish strong because I want what's said of me at the end of my journey was, man, that mother effer had it crazy. He was wild. He messed it all the way up, but he got it back. And man, he was available. He was present. He was real. He was authentic. And he loved well. And he left a legacy in that. And if that's what's said about me, then I feel like I can run.
Great. That's what's so huge about restoration, that God blesses us with when we do the work and we seek Him, because of all the brokenness. But when we do that work, and you're set free and you grow in wisdom and spiritually, you just live a happy life. You're actually able to live in the moment.
Yes.
And feel free, and it's just the best feeling ever.
It is. There's no drug or alcohol that can compare to freedom.
Right.
And, thus the reason God gave me Made Free, and shameless plug. But it's so much more than a statement or a concept, because, he who the Son sets free is free indeed. And I think that God, not to take up a lot of time with this, but like we can be free in some areas and be so bound up and so deceived about it, like we just think we're just the free. And Christians, because I am one, I can talk about it, we're the worst. Because we think we have it all figured out, and because we have Jesus, and some of the most bound up, imprisoned, you chain down people I know are Christians. And some of the people that, would claim spirituality or have a knowledge and believe that there's a God, but is not integrated in church and religious things, they seem to live at times freer. And it's been something that I feel like the church needs to change, that we need to be the expression of freedom. We need to be the picture of it to the world. Because if we truly are free, if Jesus set us free in his life, death, and resurrection, then, we should be living that. And we shouldn't be chained and bound to events, times, places, spaces, or substances and things that are destructive. We should be living a life of freedom. We should be displaying this free life. Not perfect. Our humanity is broken and flawed. Hang out with me some, you'll see all of mine. But yeah, there's this hunger for freedom.
Right. I mean, and I think, it's everyone saying, know your worth and you're not your mistakes and all those things. And people just kind of in one ear and out the other. But it is so true. And when you have that freedom, I am free to love. I am worthy of that love and attention and honor and respect and all of those things that you feel because of your past mistakes and things, brokenness that you're not,
right. Being tied to those mistakes. You get your identity if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
Identity comes from him, not what we've done, or what people think.
Oh yeah,
that's huge.
People's opinions.
But how much of that are people in prison too?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, and really being honest, like people are bound and chained to and they will not live their lives, make decisions based on what they really feel God leading them to do for fear of people. What would they say? What would they think? What would they,
And I lived that at a time in my life.
I think we all lived that.
Yeah.
We've all been affected by that.
And, just being free from any of that.
Good. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we live a reckless outlaw life like myself. I think that we get to a place that though the values and the opinions of others don't penetrate us the way they used to. And, for me, and you know this about me, if I feel God told me to do it, it'll hairlip the devil and the Pope. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I'll fall on my face trying. And people can laugh and go, what is he doing? He's out there trying to do what again? If I really feel God, no, I'm not saying a Shawn idea. I'm saying if I really know that I'm waking up with it and going to bed with it, and it's a nagging and a wooing and a drawing that God is doing in me, I don't care what anybody thinks. I want to do it, it may be something that God's doing in me personally. It may not even be about some big adventure or some platform, like a lot of this podcast, it's not about how many views or followers. Great. I hope it does impact and reach and help today many thousands, but at the end of the day, I feel like God told me that this time was for me because I benefit from the conversations and the meaningful talks and things. I wonder how much healing happens and how much healing would happen if people would sit down and have the conversations that we're having today. And so for me, it's about that. It's about Shawn Boone benefiting from the deep, heartfelt conversations that I have with friends and loved ones and family members and just acquaintances, because there's something magical that happens when two people sit down or several people and we begin to talk about things that are deeper than the surface. And we begin to, hey, that hurt. Oh, I can, me too moments. Right. Me too. Yeah. I have a me too moment with somebody that goes, man, that sucked. That hurt. Dude, me too. Yeah. I went through that. I think I always say this is we build community by sharing our weaknesses, not our strengths. Right. No one wants to hear about your perfect ass life with your kids, perfect and all. I can't identify with that. My kids, let me just say I love all my children, but they all ain't the best. They all,
mine are.
Yeah, all right, whatever. But they're mine, by God, and each one of them have a plan and a purpose that God has on their life. But
I want to touch on that communication thing too when we're talking about relationships and things like that. I mean, for us, day one, all this months and months ago, we were very transparent.
Yes, to a default.
Yeah,
I think we were just like, let's cut out the BS.
Yeah, and we did, and we didn't foresee where we would be today. But
no, we did not.
It definitely, we were, but that's important because we definitely did cut through all of that. I think at the point in our life where we were.
I think we get to our age too. We're just like, I don't want to play the game.
Right.
Let's just get to it.
Well, we weren't even really trying to date each other either, but we were just sharing, and we definitely had a connection in that moment. And
women saw it, wasn't playing it.
And we shared some of our heartbreak and love of Jesus.
Is it too late dog staring at you?
And
okay, good.
Also
squirrel.
But that's so important, and honestly, it was such a great foundation for us. Even becoming friends and things like that. Our communication, it's just always been tremendous.
Yes.
Even in the painful things and the healthy ways and all of that. Which I think again, younger people going into a relationship and at a younger age, you don't have that wisdom, you don't have that, you still don't know they don't know who they are.
Sure.
And they don't have the tools or haven't been taught how to really communicate in our relationship and things like that, which, we gained through our experiences and all of those things to be able to be great communicators. And it's really important in a healthy relationship for that and for it to be great.
I would say, Harley, that's probably one of the best qualities about our relationship.
Sure, I would say.
Is that we are very communicative.
Yeah.
We over-communicate at times. I over-communicate. You don't like how much I communicate, but you are big on communication.
Right.
But you don't like it when I over-communicate. But no, I think that's something that I love about our relationship is that we aren't afraid to talk about the hard things, even if they hurt, even if they suck.
I feel like every time we really get into conversation, there's always hard things, not even necessarily, but we get deep about things.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because, again, a beautiful life and a beautiful story is made up of the dailies, the mundanes. And I feel that, over coffee and water, we excavate our souls and our hearts about things. And I love hearing you dream and talk about things like with nursing school and traveling and I'm sure you're tired of hearing about all my dreams and aspirations, but I'm always dreaming and I'm always thinking and I'm always that thing never shuts off. And one of the qualities that I think are good about me is I'm always was thinking about my horizon, what could happen, because I've just trusted God with so much, and like I say all the time, I'm just an old boy from Mims that had a 6th grade education, and God just decided to do something with me in my story. And if I never do another thing for God, I'm blown right now. Because I thought I'd be dead or doing life in prison like everybody else that I grew up with. And so to be having a podcast and planting churches the way I did, and having an influence the way I do, it's beyond me. It's not me. It's all, I can always point it to Him, because anybody that knows me knows I'm the least of those. But no, it's something that I'm always going to be in awe for. So as we close out today, what would be some things you would want to say to those today that are listening, maybe from a woman's perspective, because this is, a special, my first co-ed podcast. But what would you say to maybe some women out there that are in this season, that Christmas just isn't the most wonderful time of the year for many reasons? Maybe it is a lost loved one, a grieving, or a broken, failed marriage. From a woman's point of view, Holly, as we close out, what would you say to them that if you was to give them a couple of tips that has really helped you in these seasons that are difficult to navigate, the tension of, I want to be happy, I want to enjoy, but this thing is, and it would be not even real to pretend it's not there.
Yeah.
And so, what are some things that you have done that's helped with that?
I think the battlefield is in the mind. Joyce Meyer. It really, truly is. And we can get so caught up in our heads and that negativity spiral of things. And it's just so important to hold every thought captive. Sure. I'm not saying, don't, feel, but you don't stay in that place. To feel that pain, feel that loss.
Process it.
Process it and move on. I always would hold tight. My daughters are my world. And, putting on that faith, but they just bring me such joy and happiness. They would never let me stay down for long anyway. With other that be their support, their hugs, their love, the laughs they bring me. But
the retardation.
Yeah, spectrum. But it's I never wanted. I want them to see me picking up the pieces and being strong. Number one, but also to keep living, because again, time is of the essence. But just really focusing on the things that really matter, holding tight to your loved ones, and then just truly leaning into the Lord for strength. It is, just hold tight. Everything, season comes to an end. A new one's on the horizon. So, I think that's been what I've tried to do, and my Tokus Alex.
I think that is perfect. Well, I just want to say thank you for coming on and blessing today's program with your little nuggets and gems of wisdom. I'm sure I will have you on again sometime because you look amazing.
Thanks.
And it's hard to stay focused, but I do appreciate you coming on and sharing. And I think that many of you out there are blessed by today and what Holly had to share, especially from a woman's point of view, because it's important that we can identify with somebody that has been through it, and that they have those Me Too moments, and we're able to navigate that. I always say, I hope my life is a survival guide for somebody else. When they look at my life and they say, man, your life, your story has been like a survival guide to me.
Right.
Because there's nothing like hope. Hope is the anchor to the soul. And when somebody sees that there's somebody that's got similar stories, backgrounds, failures, whatever, and they did it, and they've made it, and God has done it through them, man, it makes them come alive with, it can happen for me too. I too can beat this addiction. I too can, love again and be risky, and let my heart, out again, and all those things. So thank you so much. And I'm sure I'll see you again later on.
Later in a minute.
Thanks.
Yeah.